right here is the facelift of the 4th generation Honda City. And I know that there's a lot of emotion and history associated with this name in India. But I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm here to find out two things. What exactly has changed with this car, and are all the changes actually for the better? It doesn't take much time to realize that the facelift is all about making the city look a little sleeker and sportier. Up front, the chrome grille is slimmer and gets a black honeycomb mesh behind. The headlamps have been restyled as well, and now sport, prepare to hear this term a lot, LED daytime running lights and LED headlights. The end result is a car that looks more like the Accord hybrid. Additionally, the front bumper is new, and apart from featuring smaller fog lamp enclosures, the fog lights themselves are, you guessed it, LED units. The side profile doesn't feature any major changes. While I do wish the chrome door handles were dropped, it's good to note that the boring old alloy wheels have not only been redesigned, but upsized as well. So, on the top two variants, you get a new set of 16-inch wheels, though the design may not be to everyone's taste. Most manufacturers get bored by the time they reach the rear end of a car while giving it a refresh, but that's not the case here. In fact, the City facelift looks the most distinctive from this angle, mainly because of the new tail lights that are split between the red section and clear lens effect on the top-end model. No surprises that the tail lights are LEDs too, as is the stop light that's integrated into the new rear spoiler. Believe it or not, even the number plate is illuminated with LEDs. The rear bumper is new as well and gets a black honeycomb insert that makes the City look leaner from the rear. Honda did a good job with the interior when they introduced the 4th Gen City, so there wasn't really any need for a major overhaul. The black, beige and silver theme is classy. The overall quality is still really good, though a few soft touch plastics would have been nice. What Honda's really done with the facelift is plug in a few gaps. So the steering still feels great to grip and has a nice leather wrap around it, but now gets the added advantage of reach adjustment, which is only tilt adjustable earlier. The sunroof, which was already available, gets the one-touch operation for some added convenience. And you see many little add-ons that enhance the feel-good factor in the City. So you now get an interior rear-view mirror that's not only auto-dimming, but has a frameless look as well. Even the starter button gets some new backlighting, which makes it look a little more distinctive, while the instrument cluster's dials go white from the earlier blue. Honda has also thrown in additional kit like auto headlamps and auto wipers, something that its rival, the Hyundai Verna, already offered. Of course, following the exterior lighting theme, you get LED map lights up front and LED reading lamps at the rear in the range-topping ZX variant. Since there haven't been any changes to the dimensions, the cabin is still uber spacious. 5 occupants can fit in with ease, and 2 6-footers can sit one behind the other. On the plus side, the rear headrests are now adjustable, but instead of offering this as standard, it's limited to the top-end ZX grade. Honda Car India's R&D division has developed a new 7-inch touchscreen infotainment display labeled the DigiPad. It runs on an Android-based operating system and is very user-friendly. Apart from the larger screen size, the unit comes with the added advantage of mirror link and Wi-Fi connectivity. Since you do have 2 USB ports, one can be used to run the MirrorLink app, provided your phone is compatible with the software. While MirrorLink does offer added benefits, the number of apps available is limited when you compare it with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, both of which the new Hyundai Verna is expected to get. The Wi-Fi connectivity option lets you connect to a Wi-Fi source nearby, say your phone's hotspot, to operate functions through the browser app. Once connected, you can access any website directly through the infotainment display. It's also useful for receiving live traffic updates on the inbuilt SD card-based navigation system by MapMyIndia. Other features of the infotainment system include an SD card slot for media files, Bluetooth audio streaming and telephony, 1.5 GB of internal memory, and an HDMI port. The car's safety package is better than ever before. Dual airbags and ABS come as standard, but you also get rear seat ISOFIX child seat mounts right from the base variant. And considering how not only rivals like the Verna, but more affordable cars like the Figo, Elite i20 and Aspire get them, you now have side and curtain airbags on the top-end ZX grade. Now unfortunately we've not really had that much time to test out any one of the variants of the Honda City, but then again there haven't been any mechanical changes. So right now I'm behind the wheel of the 1.5 litre ID Tech diesel engine, and it still makes the exact same 100 PS of power and 200 Nm of torque. What Honda says that they've done is improve on the NVH level, that is the noise, vibration and harshness level, by kind of bolstering up in terms of the engine mounts, kind of make them a little more sensitive to controlling the vibrations, and even boosting up the cabin insulation so that not so much of the crudeness of the diesel engine creeps into the cabin. Has it worked though? I'm not so sure, because I can still feel the vibrations coming in from the steering wheel. I can feel them on the floor pedals as well. Not to mention the fact that the engine itself, it doesn't really sound particularly invigorating. It's not even an engine for the enthusiast. I mean, that's never been what this engine's been about. What it is about is great efficiency and supreme drivability too. To give you an idea of what that's like, we've been driving the car for around 100 kilometers so far, and to be honest, we've not been very kind on the accelerator pedal. But even so, we've been consistently seeing numbers of around 18.4 to 20 kilometers per litre on the MID. We will have to, of course, run the real world test to give you the exact figure, but that's pretty good. On the drivability front, it's really great as a city commuter or even as a highway cruiser. It is, of course, a turbo diesel engine, but even so, you have a great amount of torque available before the turbo actually kicks in. It's not dead. And even when the turbo does kick in, there's no massive surge that kind of takes you off guard. It's very controllable, very easy to manage, and most importantly, it improves drivability. It encourages early upshifts, so you can get the best efficiency out of it. So the diesel engine still retains its qualities as a great all-rounder. But even though Honda says that they have worked on the NVH levels, kind of improve on them, we aren't really seeing a massive change on that front. And this is one engine that still kind of takes away from the premium feel of the Honda City as a car, especially when you consider how refined and smooth the petrol engine is. All the changes in the new City aren't for the better. The manual transmission should have been offered in the top-end variant, and while the new infotainment system is better, it brings nothing monumentally new to the table. The facelift doesn't radically change the City's package. It's still the same comfortable, reliable, spacious and easy to own car as before. But what Honda's done is fill in a few holes in its package. Has it done that? Well, absolutely. Whether it's a matter of safety or adding some desirable features so the City can cater to modern buyer demands, Honda has almost perfected the City's positioning as a great all-rounder. Are these changes enough to make sure the City is still worthy of being a segment leader? Absolutely. Is it significantly better than its rivals? I'm afraid not.